Hello, it's Coach Charlie with Attack Basketball Academy. You've heard me say before that footwork is the foundation to mastering all other basketball skills. And in my opinion, pivots are the most important aspect of footwork. Honestly, if you don't have pivots mastered, you might as well just sit the bench. Yes, I'm that serious about it. Most players, even advanced players, don't really understand what it really means to pivot. And I don't want you to fall in this category. So today in this video, I'm going to answer the question, what does pivot mean in basketball? Let's go. In this video, I'm going to share with you the secret to understanding what a pivot is and how to use pivots on the court. Then I'm going to show you the only 3 footwork moves that will allow you to dominate on both sides of the ball. My players are always blown away when I show them these moves. Last, I'm going to show you the 3 pivots and 3 counters you must master to blow by every defender on offense. Let's go. Let's get right into the secret to understanding what a pivot is and how to use pivots on the court. 3 words. Pivot means turn. What all that simply means is the players that can turn the corners the best in basketball on both offense and defense, these are the players that typically gain advantages. Gained advantages I can sum up into one word: win. With my back to the basket, if you are a player that can turn the corner quicker than your opponent that's playing defense against you, you're going to gain advantages. Because the key to basketball and understanding it, that basketball is developed of length and angles. The longer you play goes with length, the straighter you play goes with angles, the more effective you play. And think about it, because of the arc on the perimeter, the 3-point line arc, and the way you play in games, you have to turn the corner. And it's all about the pivot, how you turn. Even when I'm facing the basket, there's a pivot. I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm doing. So when you learn the simplicity behind this, it's easy to become consistent. And the key to me to consistency is simplicity. It's all about turning the corner. If I could turn the corner lower, longer, and straighter, I'll play more effective. That's it. Whether I'm on defense, taking away the turns of the corner. Now, I'm turning the corner where I'm making them go into low percentage shot opportunities, or whether it's on offense. So I can play lower, longer, and straighter to be effective. That's all it comes down to. The players that understand pivots simply mean turning. Players that turn the corners the best, offensively, are going to gain advantages. Players that don't give up turns of corners on defense, you're going to win the battles to help people shoot low percentage shots, what we call tough 2s and tough 3s. That's it. That simple. Before I show you the only 3 footwork moves that will let you dominate on both sides of the basketball, I want to remind you to subscribe to this channel. I'm putting out videos daily to help develop you into a premium basketball player. Don't miss out on the content. Click the subscribe button. Now I'm going to show you the only 3 footwork moves that will let you dominate on both sides of the basketball. Watch this. All right, so I'm going to talk about these moves objectively speaking. And when I say that, I'm going to take away left side and right side. So I'm going to talk more objective. And why I like doing that as a coach is now it doesn't matter what side of the court you're on, you will understand what's inside, what's outside. And I think sometimes that's what kind of leads to confusion, or why it takes a really long time to learn certain things, because we talk about doing it on one side, right side, versus doing it on the left side. When you're able to approach it objectively speaking, where it doesn't matter what side you're on, you will understand what's inside or out. So let's talk about this right now. So where I'm located, I'm in the middle of the court. Let's say to me, this is really the indication. The basketball offensively dictates what's outside or inside. So if I have the basketball in my right hand, I'm in the middle of the court, well, my right side's my outside. My left side's my inside. Now, it's a little bit more obvious if I am on the right side of the court, right? So if the ball's in my left hand, this is my outside. My right's my inside, because when I start going to the left, this is where the defender's going to be. So I want to give us that understanding. I'm looking at this objectively. So when I speak about this stuff, I'm going to talk about outside foot, inside foot, outside shoulder, inside shoulder, so we understand that I'm talking the same thing. It doesn't matter what side you're on. So first, the first footwork move that will allow you to dominate on both sides of the basketball, objectively speaking, is called attack step. Offensively, attack steps are when you go by your opponent. You have the basketball, we call that a forward pivot, a front pivot, right? I call it something I'm going to tell you coming up very soon. But an attack step is me attacking the basket. It's a direct, straight drive to the basket. Whether I'm doing it with my right foot or whether I'm doing it with my left foot. Or shall I say my outside foot going outside to the right, my outside foot going to the left. Simply speaking, guess what we call an attack step on defense? A closeout. Whether this person has the ball or not is irrelevant. When they're near the basketball, I need to close out. And a closeout, simply speaking, is attack steps to where I need to get as close as I can to my opponent without overrunning where they're located or the boundaries. Hence, I'm attack stepping. I'm moving forward to them to now play defense, whether they have the ball or I'm trying to prevent them from getting the basketball. Whether they're cutting, I need to attack step to cut them off. Objectively speaking, that's what an attack step is. That's the first forward move you need to understand that will allow you to dominate on both sides of the basketball. The second piece of footwork, objectively speaking, is a drop step. On offense, we typically talk about drop steps in the low post area around the blocks, mid post area, sometimes around the hash marks. Very rarely we talk about it from the perimeter. But a drop step on the perimeter we call a spin move. It's where you would take your inside leg, in this case my left leg, ball's in my right hand outside hand. I would take my inside foot, leg, and I would just basically spin away from my opponent. But that's a drop step move, objectively speaking. As I set up this move with my inside foot, I'm going to take a low, long, direct step straight to my basket. It's another attack step. It's a part of the process. And when I continue, I'm low, long, and straight to my cup, right to the basket. That's a drop step. What do we call a drop step on defense? We call it a retreat step. Here's my opponent. They have the basketball. They're going to their right. What do I need to do? I need to retreat, right? I need to go back. A retreat is going back. But when I go back, I need to take them to a place in space where they're going to have to shoot a low percentage shot. If you use your imagination like I am, my chest is going to dictate their movement. On purpose, you may not be able to see this, but I'm making sure that my left foot, inside foot in this case, according to the basket, is going straight above the right side block. If I keep this on this path, this is where they're going to go when I retreat step. Look at where they're going to go, right? Which then leads to the third piece of footwork you need to master. It's called push step. We push step as humans. Walking forward, walking backwards right now, you're seeing that, right? I'm talking dexterity right now. I push off my left foot, I step with my right foot. I push off, I step. That's how we walk. If you keep this same order in mind, now we're talking lateral movement. Push steps help you go lateral. So let's imagine this is a person that has a basketball, and laterally speaking, I need to keep them going away from the basket, right? So I'm going to lateral, right? I'm a lateral. I'm going to use my right foot, outside foot, and push with the inside foot. Hence, I'm doing a push step. Literally, it's like compound words that's explaining actions. I'm pushing and stepping at the same time. I do not call these defensive slides because you're not sliding. I'm a very literal person. It's a push step. So if this is a person that has a ball, and instead of me retreating, going back in a drop step, I want a push step to really throw them off and throw their angles off, right? So in a sense, now when they take off, they dribble with their right hand. It's like a mirror image. I'm going to push off my right foot, and my left foot's going to step. Now notice if this again is a player, they have no chance at shooting a high percentage shot. And if I do a great job of that, I'm going to actually take them to an area where my teammate's going to help me out in. Keep that in mind. Now that you know what a pivot is and the 3 footwork moves to dominate on offense and defense, I want you to comment below with pivot to let us know you've learned something from this video. Go ahead, drop pivot in the comments. Now I'm going to show you the 3 pivots offense you need to master to blow by any defender, whether you have the ball or not. The first pivot you need to master is called outside pivot. So, if my back is to my opponent, I'm going to turn outside. We also call this a front or forward pivot. My terminology is outside. If I'm facing up, it's just a straightforward pivot, right? Now, also understanding, let's go over footwork real quick. Your pivot foot is the foot that stays on the ground. You can lift up your heels and you can swivel it. Hence, it's like a tool. It's a turn. Your drive step foot, that's the foot that creates the action. And this foot here I need to be low and compact and low and long as I go straight to my basket or my target or my spot, right? Wherever I'm looking to go on this court, where I'm looking to cut, I need to go low, long, and straight to be effective, okay? So an outside pivot is if my back is to my opponent, they're close with no pressure. That's also a feel. I feel that. I check them out, I go outside of them. If I'm facing up, it's a forward pivot, right? That's the first pivot you need to understand. And all pivots do lead to attacks, right? There's no counters. You go straight to the point. Now, the second pivot, opposite of outside is inside. It's also called reverse pivot or back pivot. Some people call it backward as well. I always ask players prior to trainings what words work best, and I stick with those words because I'm really big on content. The words will help the context, the environment, so you can get to action quicker. So let's say now my back is to my opponent, and my defender decided to give me space. Well, they give me space, I get space, right? Hence, my pivot foot, which is my inside foot, my outside foot, my drive step foot, will go under. In this case, talk dexterity. To talk dexterity, left foot, pivot foot, right foot will go under. You want to be able to do this stuff with ease going both ways, where you cannot be boxed in on one side of the court because you've developed both hands and feet. Okay, we also call this a reverse pivot. People call it a reverse pivot, whatever you want to call it. To me, I think that's why it's so confusing. What is a pivot? I just call them very simple. It's an outside, opposite of outside is inside, right? When I'm facing up, it's a forward because I want to go attack step to the basket, directly to the basket. That's simple, right? The last pivot is a drop step. When a defender is now playing on one of your sides with tight and intense pressure, you feel it. You feel them making contact. In this regard, they're on my inside hip and shoulder. Use your imagination. I now will go into a drop step. Take a long, low back step. I will have to take a dribble to break up the travel and go forward. Hence, look where my defender's at, look where I'm at. So instead of trying to fight them and go outside pivot when they're close, or inside pivot where I'm squaring up when they're right here, I want to go away from them, right? Inside hip, shoulder, drop step to the basket, layup. We may call that a spin if I'm on the move, right? I'm attacking, inside foot sets to move up, outside foot goes, look where I'm at, low, long, and straight to the basket. Those are the 3 pivots I teach. Outside pivot, inside pivot, drop step. Now that you know the answer to the question, what does pivot mean in basketball, how would you like to have a guide that covers all the must-know basketball principles and in what situation to apply them? Well, you are in luck. If you click in the link in the description of this video below, you can download the guide I put together as my gift to you. Enjoy it, find your feet. Now you know what a pivot means, and keep attacking.